Hey everybody, what is up and welcome back to the Warframe Beginner's Guide. I'm sorry, it's been 10 days since the last video. My real life is very busy right now. Some cool things are happening over the course of the next week in the IRL. I will share it with you when I can, but it's going to be some awesome stuff for the channel and I'm really excited. It's been a long time coming, so the next version of this guide, the next step in the guide will probably arrive after New Year's. And that's why I want to open up with some housekeeping stuff. Check out the Iflin Beginner Guide series. I hope you're watching that alongside of my guide series, purely because Iflin, amazing player, way more experience, way more knowledge about Warframe than myself. I only have about 52 days played yet in Warframe so far. My Beginner's Guide series, I'm hoping, is more in touch with the beginner's mindset since I'm such a fresh player. But if you are feeling slowed down because this guide isn't keeping up, I fully 110% encourage you guys, and I have in multiple episodes of the series, to go check out Iflin's Beginner's Guide. It is phenomenal and will teach you a heck of a lot more than I'm capable of doing. I wanted to mention also, I've been reading your comments. Thank you so much. Last week, I was corrected. You can trade without a clan. If you go to Maru's Bazaar, you can actually trade in the bazaar and you don't have to be in a clan. However, getting into a clan is a pretty important step, and we'll talk about that soon. Maru's Bazaar, obviously over here, we talked about that last week when we were doing our Ayaton Star stuff. Okay, I want to talk to you about the next steps in your journey. First of all, let's talk about getting a companion. A lot of you have been mentioning, BBK, why do you not have a Sentinel equipped? And I've had a Sentinel this whole time. I use it continually, but I didn't want to use it in the guide series because I haven't talked about getting it just yet. Companions are little floating guys that you can throw mods into and they do useful stuff. You can purchase the Taxon blueprint from the market. He's 5,000 credits. All of these resources you should have. Neurodes can be gotten from Earth, and so that's probably the only component here that you may need to go look for. But get the Taxon blueprint, build the Taxon, and you've probably already had companion mods dropping at this point. But there is one really important one I want to talk about, super convenient, Vacuum. And if you get Vacuum, upgrade it completely and throw it in here. Collects items within 11.5 meters for its master. So it just sucks items into you so you don't have to run over them. It's ridiculously useful for farming because let's say I shoot a crate at the base of the armory right there. It's automatically going to suck that mod right up into my players. So it's very convenient. It's something that you want so you're not leaving anything on the ground, any resources that can be useful. Last week, we talked about Ceres, so now we're at Jupiter. I told you last week how important it is to farm for Frost. We're going to be using the Frost frame from pretty much this point onward for the next 3 or 4 portions of the guide. We'll use Excalibur today, but I'm going to reinforce farm up Frost from the boss of Ceres. You want to get all of the different schematics, your chassis, neuroptics, and systems for Frost because it's a ridiculously helpful and useful frame. And once again, that is Lech Krill. We went over Lech Krill last week. Jupiter is where the game is going to start to get a bit more challenging. And as well, I mean, Saturn's sort of where the real challenge starts to begin in the game. But let's talk about Jupiter. In Jupiter, we have a few things to do here. Number one, you're going to need neural sensors in order to build Frost. Jupiter is where you're going to farm neural sensors. 2 nodes to do that, Sinai and Themisto. I think Themisto is a better option purely because Themisto is a boss node. I think my drop rates have generally been better, and we have to kill Alad V anyway. We have to complete this node in order to move on to Saturn and in order to, continue pressing forward with the game. Alad V is the boss of Themisto, and he also drops the Valkyr blueprints. Alad V can be a pain in the butt if you don't know how to do the boss fights. I'm going to throw the B-roll on right now. Alad V has a dog and himself. If you kill Alad V before killing the dog will just revive Alad V over and over again. So what you need to do, go into the fight, focus all your fire on the dog, take the dog out first, and then get Alad V. Alad V is very squishy, he's not hard to drop, but the dog has a gigantic shield, so it can feel like very slow progress. But once you take the shield down, the dog has virtually no health. Pretty easy boss fight in general. With Excalibur, since the enemies continually spawn in that mission, they're constantly spawning. I just recommend if you're getting shot a bunch while you're trying to take the dog out, use your second ability, blind them with your blade, and that buys you some more time to take that dog down. Once you have done that, you're going to be running that mission node many times to get your neural sensors necessary for Frost and necessary for other farming components in the game. And he also drops the Valkyr blueprints, which Valkyr, if I can go back and find it, is one of my favorite frames that I've gotten to play so far. I don't want to say in the game, but so far it's one of my favorite frames. It's a tanky frame. You're kind of like Wolverine from X-Men. You go all crazy rage mode, screaming and slicing people with your claws. It's a really cool frame. I recommend if you're interested in it, get the components, start building it. I mean, that's really a lot of the fun of Warframe is not just, this is my frame and I will use it forever. It's trying out different frames and different abilities and different mod sets and whatnot. So clear the nodes on Jupiter, beat Themisto, and start building Frost. I recommend doing the Themisto stuff before going to Europa, purely because if you've got Frost building, the sooner you get Frost done, the better, and Europa will take you, a few hours. Maybe not. I mean, maybe like an hour. So let's talk about the Europa Junction. Self-explanatory stuff. Complete Teshub in the Void. We talked about that last week when we were doing the Void container farming. The quest is Stolen Dreams. I'm not going to be walking you through, once again, the quest lines in this guide series because it's spoilery. That's content you can complete on your own. It's self-explanatory, and if you have issues, you can look it up, but I don't want to cover those because that's some of my favorite stuff in Warframe are the quest lines, and having somebody show it to you is not that cool. And craft a Warframe Spectre. If you guys have done rescue missions, you've probably gotten Spectre blueprints so far. These are little AI kind of like holograms. So I have one right here, a Vapor Spectre. You just need to craft one of these. This looks like it takes 8 hours, so you probably want to get that cooking in the oven as soon as possible. And once again, those drop from rescue missions. It doesn't matter what kind of Warframe Spectre. And that will get us over to Europa. Europa is a cool spot because it also gives us another entrance into the Void. And you get more opportunities to do a little bit higher level Void missions. And Void, again, my favorite location in the game. The boss of Europa is the Nama node, and it's the Raptor. I'll throw the B-roll up now of how to complete this one. The Raptor is one you're probably going to die at multiple times. Don't worry about it as long as you don't, game over. Don't get your 4 revives sucked out too fast. Don't worry about getting downed. The trick to the Raptor fight is the Raptor is going to come out of one of those 3 holes that you see here in the ground. Shoot him, and when you take him out, he drops a little package. You pick up the package, you jump on top of the little platform, and you drop the package into the platform. This fight was bugged like a month ago, and this has been fixed, but the boss here also drops the Nova blueprint. So once again, when the Raptor comes out of the hole, shoot him. He'll blow up after you've done enough damage. Make sure you pick up the little package he drops. It'll mark it on your UI, then drop it into one of the 3 holes, and you just need to do that 3 times so you blow up all 3 holes, and that's it. It's not a very difficult fight, but a lot of ads spawn. He deals quite a bit of damage, so if you get downed, don't worry about it. Just revive yourself or have a teammate revive you. This one I recommend for the first couple of times doing it with other people. Yeah, you can solo it, but this is a boss you're also going to be farming quite a bit because he drops the blueprints for Nova. And Nova is a 150% must-have frame for future parts of this guide. Nova is unbelievably good, has some really, really cool abilities, and is just a wickedly cool frame. So you have a lot of work cut out for you basically in the next week or until the next series of the guide because we want Frost built. Jupiter, like I said, if you want to build Valkyr, go for it. That's more of a fun frame kind of a thing. But Nova is mandatory in my opinion. So we want to complete the nodes on Jupiter, farm Themisto for your neural sensors to build Frost, priority 1. Then you're going to head to Europa. You're going to clear the nodes on Europa, complete the Raptor boss fight. We have to do that in order to get to Saturn. But I also encourage you to complete the Raptor boss fight enough to get the parts for Nova and build yourself Nova. Get Nova just building, ready to roll. You don't have to buy the blueprint just yet unless you really want to, but get the chassis, neuroptics, or chassis, and systems. My brain is farting. It's Friday morning. And get Nova ready to roll because we will be using it soon. If there's a resource for Nova that I can't remember in the blueprints, I will, update that in the next section of the guide. But just make sure you have the blueprints. That's the important part. All right. From Jupiter to Saturn, the junction is we need to beat Alad V. We need to defeat the Raptor, 2 things we just talked about, and you're going to complete the quest, The New Strange. Again, I won't be covering the quest lines because they're pretty spoilery. That's what I want you to really focus on at this point. Saturn is where the game gets, I would say, difficult. If you've not been modding your frames, if you have, sort of been skirting by without building, let's say, the heck, this is where you're going to start feeling the pain. So we'll talk about modding a little bit more in depth in the next section of the guide. This is a good time, too, to mention joining a syndicate. I called them factions earlier because I'm a Destiny player. These are basically like factions in Destiny, and you want to be using your time effectively with these guys. Flynn recommends you join Steel Meridian first because Steel Meridian offers some really cool, no, don't talk, lady, offers some cool rewards as you level up. Stop talking. As you level up, you're going to have more access to different rewards. And I think this is Shattering Justice. Is that the one that... Few of these mods are like really... Scattered Justice, there we go. Scattered Justice is a mod that I want to get for my heck. Requires Protector, so I'm not quite at the rank to get that just yet. Anyway, I recommend pledging for Steel Meridian and beginning to accumulate rep with them. When you reach a certain threshold of rep, you can then go on to the next title. They require certain things. Stop talking, lady. Like, I don't have the Galantine Prime Blade just yet. I need to go do Void Relic stuff to get that. But I recommend, again, Steel Meridian, because there's a mod in there that's going to help with our heck modding quite a bit, and apparently it's just like the best beginner faction to join. I apologize that I don't have more knowledge about it, but as simple as that can be, once you have joined, you're going to want to put on... Where is it? If I go to appearance here of my frame, I think it's under Regalia. Yeah, you're going to want to put on the sigil that's associated with your faction, your syndicate. And these are this little, see that little thing that's behind him right there? These are going to give you rep while you play the game. So you want to have these equipped. I think the first one you get is this one, the Vigilance Sigil. So it gives you plus 5% reputation with the syndicate of your choice. So that's something that's not really explained. And finally, I've been getting a ton of questions from people asking, how do I get things like plastids? Or how do I get this resource? How do I get that resource? And this is sort of an overarching thematical comment. First of all, plastids, Saturn's a great place to start farming for your plastids. But when it comes to any resource that you need in the game you don't know how to get, go to the wiki, type it in, look where the drop points are and see what's available to you. And then just go out and play the game. This is something that I remember very clearly like 2 months ago where, man, I don't have this resource. How am I going to get it? Was a continual thought in my mind. And if you just sort of play the game, keep progressing on the star chart, making sure you're farming the corners of the maps, you're going to accumulate a boatload of pretty much all the resources you're going to need for crafting. There are obviously exceptions to that. There are certain resources that you have to specifically go out and farm for in the right place, and there's certain resources it's more efficient to go farm in particular areas, that kind of thing. But just know from the player's perspective, there isn't like a right or wrong way to play the game, and I just don't want people stressed about, man, am I spending every second of my time super efficiently within Warframe? If you just play the game, you're going to accumulate a ton of resources. Oh, wow. That doesn't match. That little black one. We got to fix that. Okay, that's a lot better. So my message to you is basically, if you just continue playing the game, you're going to accumulate most of the resources that you need. Resources that you don't have, just look it up on the wiki, get very comfortable Googling things. I want to show off something here. Do you see this little pink thing on my Warframe's neck? You will see this appear on pretty much all of your Warframes at some point. If you want to get rid of it, you just come back down here to this really terrifying looking chair. You'll sit in the chair, and they're going to pop this little boil thing. It's really gross. It's, I won't lie, the first time I saw this, I was freaked out. But if you don't like the little pink thing sitting on your neck, just come on down here to the world's scariest barber shop, and he will get rid of it for you. That's going to conclude this portion of the guide. We need to still talk about clans. Saturn is where the game seriously gets real, and we're going to talk about one of my favorite things, corrupted mod farming. It's pretty technical, and it's going to take up most of the it's not really technical. There's just a lot of nuance to, like, you need this key and you need this mod thing, and then you need to go to this place on the map and you need to communicate with these people. So that is what we're going to be covering next time. If you guys have any questions for me, please continue placing them in the comments section below. I appreciate the support. If you've been enjoying the series, drop a thumbs up. I seriously cannot thank you guys enough. This series has gone way better than I could have ever imagined. I'm loving this game. I'm hoping that, you know, more and more people are getting the opportunity to try it, because this thing has just been like, I've been stoked. I've been super duper stoked on this game. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome rest of your day, a great Christmas, a good New Year's, and we'll talk with you next time.